Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are getting into NFC playoff predictions, predicting every team to make the NFC playoffs in 2023. We did the AFC last week. We've got a link in the card above. If you're looking for the AFC, you can go check that out. But for now, getting into the NFC, I think the top two seeds for me are fairly chalky, the 49ers and the Eagles. There are some questions surrounding the 49ers. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans departed. You lose Bobby Slowick to the Texans as well. Some other staff members, but I think you've still got the main ingredients here, which is Kyle Shanahan dialing it up. You've got a ton of terrific skill position talent on offense, one of the most talented defenses in the NFL. You drop Javon Hargrave in the middle as well to create pressure from the interior. I think that you're going to be just fine. I know Brock Purdy is coming off the UCL, but from what I've heard, he's looking good. As long as he's good to go, I think the 49ers will still be one of the top seeds in the NFC. I think he did a tremendous job as Mr. Irrelevant coming in and not just being a game manager for the 49ers, but also pushing the ball down at the field at times. Being able to show some pocket maneuverability, making some plays with his legs, kind of being a gamer for the 49ers. I like what he brings to the offense as long as he's healthy. I think they will be one of the top seeds in the NFC. I still think the Eagles are up there as well. They had plenty of attrition. When you look at their coaching staff, they lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator, but the main ingredients, like I said about the 49ers, are still there. Jalen Hurts going into his second year with A.J. Brown. You've still got Devontae Smith as well. You've got what should be a strong running game. You revamped your running back room, one of the best offensive lines in football. Jalen Hurts is a cheat code back there when it comes to his ability to run the ball, to get short yardage situations, to obviously throw the ball down the field to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith, some of the guys they have. And then defensively, they have retooled and reloaded. I think Jalen Carter is a legitimate candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to be a stud for them, a force of nature for the Philadelphia Eagles. He landed in a perfect spot. He's got plenty of Georgia Bulldogs teammates around him. I think that they will be just fine, and I think they will cruise to an NFC East division title in 2023. Now, after that is where it gets interesting in my opinion. I have the third seed being the Detroit Lions. We'll get into that in just a moment. But if you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize. Really, really appreciate your support. So getting into the Detroit Lions here, they were a team that was scorching at the end of the 2022 campaign. I love their coaching staff. I think Dan Campbell has really something special brewing in Detroit. Jared Goff is playing at a really high level with Ben Johnson as offensive coordinator. I think it is an absolute coup that they were able to keep Ben Johnson and he didn't become a head coach somewhere else. So that's great for them. I like their revamped running back room. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the game, if not the best offensive line. I think they've done a lot to improve on the defensive side of the ball as well. Some of their draft picks coming in, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson going into year 2, James Houston going into year 2. I think they have a lot of quality pieces. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as well on the back end. They brought in some corners to supplement that depth. I think the Lions, they finished really hot in 2022. I think they will be able to win the NFC North and punch a ticket to the playoffs and be able to host a home playoff game in 2023. I think it'll be a really fun season for Lions fans up there in Detroit. Number 4. The final division winner for me, I've got the Atlanta Falcons winning the NFC South. I've talked about it already. I previewed them. I also previewed the Carolina Panthers as well. But looking at the Falcons, I think they are going to have a superpower. I think that superpower is going to be their running game. It was already one of the best in the league in 2022. Now you drop in Bijan Robinson. You have an extremely talented offensive line. You've got great skill position players beyond the running backs. When you talk about Drake London and Kyle Pitts, I think they added some quality receivers as well. When you look at Mac Hollins and some of the other additions there at the receiver spot for them, Scotty Miller. But it comes down to Desmond Ridder on the offensive side of the ball. Is he going to do enough to just manage this offense? I think there were signs down the stretch last year that he could be that type of guy. I think what he did at Cincinnati kind of indicated he could be that type of guy. He's going into year 2 in Arthur Smith's system. I think they're going to make it pretty easy for him to execute at a high level, and I think that they're going to punch a ticket to the playoffs by winning the NFC South. Now, I do think it will be close, or it could be close, between the Falcons and the Panthers in the NFC South, and I think the Saints could make some noise, but ultimately I have the Falcons winning the NFC South on the back of a fantastic elite running game and efficient passing offense that again features some really quality receivers and Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and then a defense that's completely revamped. They bring over Ryan Nielsen to kind of bring over some New Orleans Saints flair. They added David Onyemata from the Saints. They also added Caden Ellis, two guys that'll help bring in this new system for the Atlanta Falcons, and obviously Calais Campbell. They brought in a bunch of talent throughout the roster on the back end as well. I think you really like what they did with bringing in Jesse Bates. I think there's just a lot to work with, and I think that they're going to be a much improved team on both sides of the ball. They were already a pretty damn good offense, even with a mediocre at best passing offense last year, fueled by Marcus Mariota. I think the passing offense will be better. I think the rushing offense has a chance to be even better with Bijan Robinson, who I think is a generational back. And so I have the Falcons winning the NFC South. And then we get into our wild card teams, right? I've got the Dallas Cowboys coming in at the 5 seed. I think if they were in pretty much any other division, they would have a chance to win that division in the NFC. But I think the Eagles are just too good with Jalen Hurts, with that defense, that passing game. I think they've got a lot of good stuff going on in Philly. So I've got the Cowboys coming in 5th overall in the NFC 5 seed. I think they'll have a better record probably than the Falcons, maybe even the Lions, but they'll be stuck with a 5 seed and have to take their show on the road to start the playoffs. But I've got the Cowboys making it. I think that there could be some regression offensively with Mike McCarthy taking over, but I think you could also see an offense that kind of limits the turnovers, kind of packs it in and is really efficient, and then combining that with the defensive prowess that they have over on that side of the ball, dropping Mozzie Smith in, a guy who is going to absolutely anchor the middle of that defense, be able to do a lot of fun stuff for you. They have an elite pass rush. Micah Parsons is one of the very best in the league. They've got talent throughout that defense, talent throughout the roster. So I think the Cowboys are still definitely a playoff team. I think that they could make some noise in the playoffs. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, Dallas Cowboys at 5 overall. I've got the Seahawks coming in at 6th. I think that they are a very high-quality team. I think Pete Carroll has gotten the most out of pretty much every team he's coached over in Seattle. Love what Geno Smith did last year. I think dropping JSN into the mix, Jackson Smith and Jigba in the draft at wide receiver, really slot receiver, is going to give them an element to that offense they didn't have last year. I think also bringing in Zach Charbonnet whenever he gets healthy, the running back out of UCLA, is going to help give them some balance in the backfield to go along with Kenneth Walker. They have a really nice young offensive line. I think they improved the interior this offseason. And then defensively, I like a lot of what they've done. They have a lot of really good young pass rushers. They extended Uchenna Nwosu this year, bringing in Devon Witherspoon in the draft in the first round along with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Love both of those picks. I think he's going to help lock it down on the back end for them, along with Tariq Woolen, who they brought in last year, and then Kobe Bryant in the slot for them I think will work out just fine. I think they're going to have a lot of versatility on the back end. I think you could see a lot of 3 safety looks once Jamal Adams gets back, because they brought in Julian Love, who I think is a really good player and unheralded signing by the Seattle Seahawks, but a guy who's played a lot for the New York Giants over the last couple of years, had a really good year for them last year, and I think gives them some more versatility on the back end. I think they'll do some fun stuff with their secondary in Seattle in 2023, no doubt about it in my mind. And then finally, I just mentioned the Giants. They are the 3rd team for me out of the NFC East that will make the playoffs for me, right? The Giants, they made it last year, first year under Brian Daboll. I love their offensive coaching staff. I love their defensive coaching staff. Wink Martindale, one of the most aggressive coaches on the planet at defensive coordinator. He loves to blitz, but they've got a lot of talent that they've accumulated over the last couple of years. Daniel Jones gives them a floor on offense, along with Saquon Barkley with that rushing attack. I think the offensive line is going to show improvement in 2023 as well. I just like a lot of the ingredients they have in New York. I think they're going to be tough. They were very tough last year. Defensively, they've got a lot of tough players. I love Dexter Lawrence, one of the best interior players in the game. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, takes another step in year 2, obviously, for him. And I just think that they're going to be a tough, smart football team, going to win a lot of football games, going to be able to punch a ticket. It's going to be tough in that division, but that's who I have making it just over the Minnesota Vikings, who they were a team that overachieved in 2022. There's no doubt about it. I still think that they're better than a lot of people are giving them credit for going into 2023. But the biggest issue for me there is they have a first place schedule. They play a lot of the toughest teams in the AFC and the NFC. so it's not going to be an easy road for them. I do love the addition of Brian Flores at defensive coordinator, but I still think they've got some talent that they need to acquire on the defensive side of the ball before he really gets things humming. Maybe in year 2 they could have a huge jump on the defensive side of the ball. I love their offense, no doubt about it, with their offensive line, with Justin Jefferson, obviously, with Jordan Addison coming in as a complement. I think he's going to have a big rookie year for them at wide receiver out of USC by way of Pitt. But overall, I just think the defense lacks a little bit, and I think Kirk Cousins in some big games, he's going to let you down. I have that happening again, playing against a first-place schedule, playing a lot of tough teams in the regular season this year for the Minnesota Vikings. So I have them just on the outside looking in. I think New Orleans, as I mentioned, I think Carolina, those teams could both make it interesting in the NFC South there. But ultimately, I just don't think that they have the superpower that the Falcons have in that running game. And I think the Falcons will have one of the most improved defenses in the league with the amount of talent they brought in on that side of the ball. The reinvigorated defense with Ryan Nielsen. I think in the NFC North, Green Bay and Chicago could both make it interesting as well. But ultimately, I have them on the outside looking in just a little bit. I think they're probably a year away, both of those teams. Heck, I think the Rams could even make it interesting if they're able to stay healthy. They've still got Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp is still a great receiver. I know he's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now, but Aaron Donald's still out there. I think that the Rams, they have a reinvigorated Sean McVay. I think that there's a lot of good vibes coming out of their camp. I know they're not the most talented roster on paper, but anytime you have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball, if you're healthy, I think you have a chance to win some games, along with Sean McVay coaching it up on the offensive side of the ball, and of course Raheem Morris coaching their defense. I still think they have a lot of quality ingredients. Yeah, the roster is a little bit barren in certain areas, but I think that they could surprise some teams, not predicting them to make the playoffs, but I think they could be a lot better than some people think. For me, I have a hard time betting on the Commanders when you talk about the division that they're in with the Eagles, with the Cowboys, with the Giants. I like a lot of what they have, no doubt about it. Like their wide receiver core, their running backs, I think that they have a really good defensive front, really good defense as a whole. I don't love their coaching. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach, but don't love the coordinators. Not sold 100% on that situation. Not sold 100% on Sam Howell as a quarterback, being able to guide them to the playoffs in 2023. I do like Sam Howell overall as a prospect, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get them over the hump this year. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett is there as well, but I think it's Sam Howell's job. I don't really see the Buccaneers in the NFC South this year with their quarterback situation being able to make a lot of noise. They do have talent pretty much everywhere else, though, so I could see trying to be a little optimistic there. But when Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask are duking it out for you for the starting quarterback job, I don't think that's something to get super excited about. And then the Cardinals, I'm just not sure how they get out of the gutter this year with the roster that they have. I loved their draft, honestly, in 2023, a lot of what they did there. I think Kyler Murray can get back on track, but I just don't know when he's going to be healthy, and when he is healthy, how it's going to look around him. So we'll see how it plays out there. But that is my NFC playoff predictions, right? I've got the 49ers, Eagles, Lions, Falcons all winning their divisions, the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Giants coming in as wild cards. Love to know what you think. Drop a comment in the comment section below. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, or follow Rogue Football at RogueFB on Twitter. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Have a good one.